Just got a notification on my phone. Um, Most people are killed each year from bees than from snakes. So, not sure how this is gonna be linked to what I have to say here. But first of all, I've been missing very much putting these talks together for you in camera. As you all noticed, the last few videos I posted was just like audio, right? And I've been getting messages like, "Oh, we're missing your lovely face as you channel, and I want to see more of that." So here I am. Um, Obviously, I always have a lot of things to talk about, and you know how my ADD brain works. Sometimes when I'm just coming from a channeling place as opposed to actually having something together from start to the end, where I'm able to just move along with that speech and deliver the main message, which sometimes, or a lot of the times, it happens to be aligned with what a lot of you are going through in your journey, in your spiritual journey. And everybody is in a spiritual journey, by the way, you guys. There's no such a thing as not being on a spiritual journey. Everything is spiritual. Matter comes after spirit and source. And when you have finally died um, to the reality that you think it's you, to the much bigger and deeper reality, you start to realize the connection between your device, yourself, others, movement, flow, and all of that. But I would like to start saying that I almost gave up on this channel a couple days ago after reading a passage on the Bible saying something about um, those who carry too much wisdom and knowledge, something like that, will essentially like realize on their own that their wisdom's not enough, that my wisdom prevails. Like just something about like the voice of what the Bible says of God conflicting with man's wisdom, right? So like this also serves to those of you who are on that um, space in between following the voice of God that you think is has that the one who has like created rules and expectations in society versus that um, inner wisdom within you that you also call God, because there are these different places in a psychic. In the moment a voice is projected, everybody likes to just say the voice of God, and in reality everything is like consciousness, right? It's like energy that has been modified to a certain degree, and now you are receiving that thing and you are putting out there, and the moment you do that you create blessings or tragedies for yourself. But there's no way to run from it, because the moment you receive and you become, because like the moment you receive, you essentially transform, right? Like I've been watching my own avatar lately and just like perceiving a lot how I go from like this super loving state to, after having a few interactions with someone on WhatsApp or on the street, how the energy simply shifts, because we're constantly receiving. Like in order to exhale you have to inhale, in order to inhale you also exhale. So this pull in and out, never stops, and only you know how good is your connection to your breath, like how much you work towards on a daily basis to improve your own embodiment. Um, so first of all, I wanted to bring out this interesting thing that happened today, which again, some people will say, oh, synchronicity, and it's like, yeah, I like to think of synchronicity because, like, if I am being who I am inside, my thoughts and feelings are getting projected in the outside. It's like, okay, great. How helpful, or how, like, this can actually contribute to my highest good. And what's my highest good after all, right? Like, oh, is my highest good making more money, helping more people, having more fun, having more pleasure? Like, what is that I'm after? I mean, all these different aspects of me can be after all of this. The helpful portion wants to be fed, and he wants to help more people. The I love pleasure side wants to be fed. The super loving aspect wants to give more love, or the super like rigid structure aspect of me wants more structure. So like you realize there are all these different aspects that kind of like act as gods within you, but in reality they're just like fragments of the psychic. They're all like just pieces of you, just like torn apart or torn out because of some trauma you've experienced, or some um, something really hard that might have caused the separation of pieces within the same place, right? So when you start to put them back together and you feel like less all over the place, but more centered, or more like singled, and all aspects kind of like embody, you also understand that you ultimately are here to serve. So like, if I don't have to help myself right now with anything, because all those things I've already realized there's nothing else I can do. Is it really? Okay, just look at that carefully. Just realize within if this is really what you are seeing from the place you are in. Because if so, then okay, then you're ready to help other people. And that's great. I'm so happy for you because the world has lots of people who want to be helped, but a lot of people who don't want to be helped. And I felt like being placed in places where people didn't want to be of help, um, I end up hurting myself. Even though I was coming from a place of like positive intentions, I was kind of like forcing my way to be the helper at that situation, because I felt like I was able to perceive and see the big picture of like why that connection happened, like the attraction happened, because I can contribute with this, and this person is currently going with this problems. But a lot of people don't want to be helped because they still carry that force within that is just anti success, anti love, anti deserving to have fun. And because I went through there and I still go through there sometimes, just by simply tapping on that energy, sometimes I can see why some people will project um, against themselves. But I also know that there's this shadow within me that pretty much like gets on my way a lot. Obviously, that's why it's called shadow. But this aspect always wants me to stand up, stand out, and essentially like make others to feel validated by my own actions. Um, that's actually not what I was gonna say. Okay, so I was saying like that by wanting to help somebody else who's not at the same page, who cannot see the big picture and like why we were put together in that relationship, or maybe it's perceiving this relationship as purpose or something else. Like the two interpretations, like, or two perspectives can get in conflict, because the one who is seeing in one way will act towards that way, which is going to match with the perception about the situation, right? Because they want to be in alignment, and the other party is doing the same, but ultimately they are not seeing things in the same place at the same time correctly. Um, and maybe their perception are distorted and not alignment with higher wisdom, higher power neither. So what these two parties need to do to resolve the situation is sit down together and say, okay, can we understand why we are in a relationship? Because we're getting to know each other, we're having deep conversations, we're spending time together. Like this is not just random, right? This is not just because I'm here to help you, to, like, offering a place for you to stay for a couple of days or something. It must be something else, right? This might be a manifestation, right? Like I'm manifesting this in you too, and then both parties are like, okay, let's come up together from this conscious state of mind, even though we are operating from that tip, um, portion where you can still feel the deep reality, because those feelings, those thoughts are coming from that source place, that place where creation started. And that's why, like yesterday I actually attended an amazing lecture on horoscope astrology, and the importance of like doing the charts of relationships to sort of like understand what are the challenges, what are the weaknesses and strengths of the two parties in a relationship. Because maybe there's two people, when they come in together, and they're up for something, they already aware of like, oh, I know this person has these traits here that I sort of like on from this end, and we might still be able to help each other, like now that I'm aware that this person struggles with this, and this person's aware I'm struggling with this. So that's great, but we don't have time usually for that, right? Because we're always like on our goal. Like when we have free time, we're usually scrolling to see the things we don't have, the things we've had in the past, the things we are yet aiming to have in the future, instead of simply being here in the present moment and realizing, like, oh, there are tiny things in my current reality that could be on my way to stepping towards the big future. But I'm not paying attention to, I'm not giving enough attention and time to this. And all you take sometimes is just one word, it's just one thought, it's just one act of kindness. Of course, it's always better and easier said than done. But how many conversations do we need to have about this? How many times you have to listen to those talks and read all these different things until you finally learned? I don't know. But again, there are these different tiny children within you, which represents the lost um, frequencies of of a happy time, you know again, because of a trauma, and you keep working, doing your best to recover these aspects of you and putting them together, because at the same time that you're working towards recovering these aspects of you, and they may say like, oh, someone is going through just like trauma recovery, or like somebody's just like, finding pieces of themselves, or they're just doing a soul retrieval. Like all these names, like labels, are representation of the same thing, right? There are entities out there who might be carrying aspects of you, and when you're by yourself and you feel that solitude, that emptiness, like I encourage you to just be in your heart, say, I'm loving awareness, because you are loving awareness. So where did those aspects of you go to faraway places, to places where again you don't even know, because you are so powerful, you're capable of traveling timelines, far distances. But you can also bring this aspect of you back by calling yourself back home. And then when that sense of wholeness strengthens, and you feel like you're now embodying like balanced levels of energies, and you're not just like operating too much from one side versus the other, when you finally feel like nothing like externally is bothering you because the internal and the external um just like this as one, then you can move on to the next thing, which is manifestation, because we never stop manifesting. But along the manifestation, there are these lessons and these um, challenges that we face in order to learn something else. And this learning, again, what is that you are after learning? Because you may say, oh, I'm learning, I learned. And you just may say something very like vague, right? Like, oh, I learned how to be careful and not trust in everyone more, and just be careful more with how I go or when I start getting to know someone. That's not enough. Like, the more you get specific to what is that you're learning, that means you are surely learning this thing that you are to learn in this process, the thing that you are truly and deeply learning. For example, oh, I'm learning how to tolerate stupidity. That sounds harsh. But maybe you can say, I'm learning how to look at with loving compassion to some of the craziness and some of the silly things on my friends, some of the silly behaviors and the silly attitudes they have. I don't know, I don't want to become like them, like, but I also don't need to judge them. Like, I can observe and be aware that there is this thing within me that is like totally against it, that is like, ooh, stay away from this. And at the same time, I can be mindful and playful and say, what is that I'm judging about this situation really? Or is there like a double laughter that makes me interpret as stupid? And based on what? Who told me that the perfect laugh needs to be like, ha 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 ha, versus, like, am I judging somebody's laughter? Or am I judging maybe like someone's inability to interpret my deeper thoughts? Like, so instead of questioning, like, why somebody acts like this, why somebody does like that, and so forth, I can actually come back to me and say, how can I see this from the eyes of God? How can I see this with loving awareness? Based on what do I judge this as ugly? Oh, in comparison to something that I thought in the past was better? Well, again, you still kind of vibrating on that realm of good or bad, acceptable, not acceptable. If you want to walk the path of the Tao, the path of neither good or bad, things just are, then you have to practice looking at things always from a higher perspective and with the eyes of the true loving God that you are, that is in you. This place might be in between all these other places in you. And I actually wanted to kind of go deeper on this now. But basically, we have these different levels of awareness that I've talked about, the chakras, right? The seven dimensions. Like I've said that to you, you are a multidimensional being. But also, there are these different realms within the psychic where thoughts are constantly getting triggered off. And that's why you think your mind never stops, because everything comes up together at the same time, but you can't quite discern yet, or you're still learning how to discern where each thing comes um, from and how to put things back in order, or like things in place to the right places. Okay, so the first very place I like to think of is the collective consciousness. And this is my interpretation with my own words, with my own wisdom. Again, you don't have to believe in everything. Whatever resonates with you, great. And this is also gonna serve for my own um, progress in terms of like giving more time to investigate what I'm about to say with care and wisdom. But so there's this place that I like to call the collective consciousness, which is this place where all thoughts that have ever been taught are part of thoughts for solution, like thoughts of coming from like creating solutions to problems, um, creating more problems in order to have more solutions. So the solutions can be monetized, and that can essentially help those people who want to manifest more money to manifest more money. um, the place where there are all these what ifs and should it and maybes and all the possibilities of for things within the realm of survival, like how does one person survive. So there's already a calculation for this person, like, oh, how does this person survive considering she has this much of that, living in this situation, having this problem. It's like there has been already aspects, people like you in the past, or people who has similar traits as you, who are also in this journey. So that calculation basically has already been done, and there are all these thoughts and feelings and emotions, like associated to that person in the past, and you are capable to tap in that person because this thought, like the attraction can be so strong, right, where your framework, your archetype is always attracting like thoughts and feelings and the coherence to somebody else who has already existed like you. Yeah, simple as that. Like if you're that broke person, um if you're that broke harder person, or that broke financially person, within, like, who's living in that particular place within that great age range, most likely those that you call your angels sometimes are just the dead. It's just like like the spirits of the archetypes that have been like you. And sometimes you might feel like you are walking with somebody else, and you may even think it's yourself that's just a part, another part of you, but it's all yourself again, because it's all energy, and we like to just take ownership of everything that is. But with discernment, my friend, it's not like owning all that shit, taking ownership of all those things and just allowing things to happen. Like, you have to step on your own power by discerning, like, I know it's on me, but I want to make me better, and constantly wanting to make it better, regardless of the condition, regardless of the smell, the frequency. It's all you. Like, loving everything really means sucking the juice out of it. Like, again, if you're attracted, that happened for a reason. If you attracted that, most likely it's because that lesson's for you, because you still have to own it back, reintegrate. And the more you reintegrate, the more whole, the more free, the more in alignment with happiness, with here now, and the more time you have to work on the things that truly matter. Because right now you're complaining about time, you're complaining about not giving attention to the things you truly want, or attracting things that you didn't ask God for, or not quite understanding why there are all this like mismatches and misalignments within the realm of your relationships to your family and friends. And honestly, this will continue to happen until you start to surrender to the aspects of you that is yelling for help the most. instead of repressing them. So how do I do that? How do I surrender to the aspects of me that are yelling for help the most? By staying with this aspect of you, by taking ownership, by instead of doing something else outside, by taking time to just be with this aspect of you. You may be able to do a video like I'm doing to you right now. Like usually these videos are always triggered by something, by the way. Like something has to happen for me to actually really take this thing serious. Like I don't put time like time to record Ram Maria's videos and actually plan on like, oh, what should I talk about? Like sometimes when I'm walking, I do like to just, okay, this is something interesting that I start hearing, but it's triggered by something within me. You see what I mean? It's never like a mental robotic thing, because we're talking about life. We're talking about things that we can't quite pinpoint, but makes us think that there's something else out. There's something bigger than my small mind. Like I know I'm not my mind. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my feelings. So I hear this talks. I hear the philosophy of this person. I hear the spirituality of this guy. I worship. I do all of this to tap, to access this aspects of me that makes me feel life is worthier living. Yeah. So embodiment places, right? So I mentioned the collective ego, collective consciousness. This is usually where we are connected most of the times. That's the realm of the thinking mind, the super quick thinker, solutions like out of pain, how to get more pleasure, and like solutions problems. That's the realm, right? There is a higher realm. I mean, there are many different higher realms. I'm just gonna speak from what I've experienced and what I have determined. Again, you don't have to take it seriously. Whatever serves to you, whatever helps um, you come up with your own interpretation, good. So there is a place called a happy place. The happy place within you is where images, feelings, emotions about you as the main character of the movie is always going. It can be despair, like you seeing yourself going through moments of despair. It could be a loving moment, a place where you see yourself just like super happy with somebody else, celebrating something, listening to something that is truly happening, just really happy, or thoughts of other people saying good things to you. But it's a place dedicated to your main character, right? And we can call it a happy place because it is like also an imaginative place, a place where you get to imagine better outcomes, solutions to that which you are experiencing. Like maybe the problem, like the despair, the energy is projected out, and you see those images of yourself like sort of like in despair mode, but yet there's like a possible outcome, a positive outcome, just like you seeing yourself or maybe doing something better or fixing that problem or living at a more hopeful state, replacing that place of hopelessness and despair. So it's all kind of mixed up. That place is not necessarily like always positive, but it's not always negative. Then you also have a place within you which is not a happy place, but it's how should I call this place? Antenna place, for lack of better words. A remote control. So you have the remote control to all those places, by the way. So there's the remote control, and then like I said, the helpful, the happy place, the collective consciousness place. all possibilities, all the super thinking mind. But there's also that place within you that is like direct connection to source, where it works almost like a telephone. You always making calls and you always receiving calls, and that is coming from into the network where you're connected to, like the place where you're currently living, the place where you're currently working, the place where you are currently doing business with. That connection, it's real. You always there, like back and forth, like sending, receiving, and that comes obviously with positive and negative frequencies, because some of the things your mind might interpret as good, happy, might bring a good feeling within you. But some of the no's, like we tend to get some of the no's, and even when you give some of the no's, you also receive back the lower frequency of just like asking. So you're always asking and receiving. You're always giving and receiving. We may just call antenna place. There's also a place in you where it's beyond the happy place, and it's a much deeper place that I like to call infinity, where things can go as fast or as slow as you wish, and sometimes we're only able to access that when we're dreaming, when we're sleeping. And when you typically wake up, that shift can be so quick that you just like, oops, I missed, like, what was that about? Unless you're consciously capable to achieving that place by, for example, going on an ayahuasca journey where you sit with other people and you all like agree to drink together while awake. And some people may say, oh, it's just like called being high. Being high also means being tapped to the deep and bigger reality. So that place is the killer, because when you master that place, when you finally access that, you realize that change and transformation occurs from that place. So for those of you who have done ayahuasca and have been able to um, alter things for the better in you within your current field, you probably have noticed, right, how it can be quite fast. Like time can work in your favor or against you. Like if you're good with moving forward with time and being in alignment, then time can go on. But if you're still taking it slow, if you feel still like your mind, your brain, your heart needs a little bit of more of time, then you want to leave even the experience where you ask itself for a time when you're fully ready, because some people don't make it during that journey. It can be very painful as well. As the deeper you feel and the more aware you are about things, more hope or less hope you become about yourself, and you need to actually be able to function on a daily lives, right, in a basic, like you don't have someone who you can delegate all the time to do the things to you, unless you have enough funds, you have saved enough money in your life to actually delegate others to achieve certain things to you. But when you don't, when you rely on your own self to move along with life, and take the bus, do groceries, like feed yourself, do these things which are still important to you. We're not here to say like, oh, you gotta be so spiritual and so fucking um into this process that you gotta give up of like doing mundane things. No, because the mundane is also building up for the big things. Like the mundane supports the big things. Like the big things also depend on the mundane. So the two aspects could be extremely related and important to one another. Excuse me, I need more water. So sometimes when you feel like you are at the doing place, you might experience all the states at once, or like one action leads to one state, and a shift of the action leads to the other state. And that's quite interesting because when you're fully detached from all of these states and you're okay with operating from any of these places, then it's like freedom. It's like wind in my face, present moment, not worried about who's coming down to talk to me or who's messaging me or what I have to do next. I mean, it's always nice to see who's messaging me and see things like, hey, what's happening? You see, everybody hears everything you say. Like within you, this place where you literally can call and receive calls at all the time, like send and receive, and you're asking for money, and people might be texting you because they want to give you money, but they just don't know how to, and they want to dance with you. They want to see how you play around them, how you take them to that place. It's incredible because you realize sometimes how you suck at this thing called manifesting money, and how like manifesting money just for manifesting is not the true goal, because you want to get good at doing something and make people really beg to pay for you for this thing, not just like, oh, I need help, I need more money, I need you to just do, like, just want me to do a little bit of this or that in order to manifest the money I need at the moment in my life. Like again, it's got to be good for both parties, and in order to be good for both parties, you need to master how to become better at whatever it is that you are striving towards right now. I don't know, maybe you're just working on crafting like public speaking skills, or um, overcoming that social anxiety. Like we all have it. Like I have it because there are just all these fears there just comes up of like, you know, rejection, betrayal, attachment, abandonment, conflict. Even fear of starting a conflict can be a very harsh thing. So, being aware of this can help you to simply surrender all your fears and to just trust in the now. Or just coming to the now, to that place of, again, here now, the Tao, where it just happens naturally. You don't have to get caught up on that judgmental thinking of, like, oh, I said that. Maybe if I had said that, it would have been better. Or he said this, and now I'm feeling like this. Oh shit, I should never said that again. Like, tell me if the energy in you is not projecting this. Like, I want you to take some time to just grab a notebook and a pen and literally just start journaling whatever comes up. You're gonna set an intention first of all of like, I'm gonna write whatever comes up. Some people will call that process automatic writing, but really, I want to call nothing, just doing nothing, just trusting. And you just start writing, 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 writing. Put a timer even on that thing for 15 minutes. This is a process I like to do with my clients. It's really fun. So I give them 15 minutes and I tell them, you are allowed to write whatever you want. If you want to draw this thing, yes, just do whatever you want. This is how I see, how the water is like at what's in the water. Like the river has some trash there, but I can see it sometimes just by looking at someone like this, but by just like telling my patients to sit sit down and do this thing, the writing, I take out the paperback and I start reading the thoughts, the images that they draw, or the words, and then we start to find, you know, the real source. What is the big monster? Who is the big monster? Where is he at? What is he saying now? What does he want from you? How can we make him disappear? Does he want to stay with you for how long? What does he want from you? It's about the right questions and having the right attitude to literally clearing the mess that is in you right now. If you're not living for this on your daily basis, you have completely misunderstood this whole game of life, because it is much more an internal game than an external game, my friend. And if you're just fully driven by driving your car in the morning and just like having that satisfaction of like, I just drove a Mercedes or a BMW for 40-50 minutes, or I just finished this task, um that it rewards me this much money at the end of the month, which helps me to pay for the things that brings me joy, when everything that else that I feel and I think of can be completely ignored, because my life is fully, truly what's happening outside, and everything's quite programmed well in a way that serves my highest being and purpose right now, because this is what I'm saying right now to you. And I'm not saying I've ever heard that from a patient before, but sometimes I've taken on people who the attitude towards the process was literally what I just transcribed. And one gesture, like you said, in one image is worth more than 1,000 words, because one image represents a feeling. That feeling can be broken down into sometimes a whole page. We're so powerful. We're so fast. We are communicating all the time. If I'm like this, I'm sending. I'm receiving. It's happening all the time. Or if I'm just like that, I'm also receiving. I'm also sending. I like that place better. The giving and receiving love portion, where I fall in love with two, three, four, five at the same time. Feels good. But you can't force that. And that would lead me to another topic, because I don't know, I feel like I've quite mastered already this sort of like understanding why I attract certain people who are so cold and unloved, and at the same time people who are extremely the opposite, who are very loved and kind, because I have both sides. So it's very interesting, because I'm always attracting one or the other, and usually when I'm in the loving state, I'm dealing with the unloving state of somebody else, or when I'm in my unloving state, I'm usually dealing with the loving state of somebody else, and there's always this hide and seek kind of pull back and forth, between the polarities. They're like playing us, influencing us, right? Because it's all influencing, like the polarities, or like the voices you say, oh, the voices of God. It's just basically these aspects of you that are influencing you, because you are always driven by influences, inner, deeper influences. And like I mentioned, all these different states within you, these different places. I hope after watching this video and sort of like, realizing for yourself, what do you have to be more aware of? Like maybe there are more thoughts coming from this place here, and I just need to learn how to shift more into paying more attention to the giving, receiving, to like, what am I asking, what I'm receiving, because everything happens really fast. It's very powerful. Like this whole big reality, like sometimes it takes like a second for you to lean into a place of like deeper realization. And it's so fast, it's almost like, the dream state, like when you fall asleep and you dream and you come back, everything's happening like that. So capture as much as you can. What do you think can influence your journey positively, because you will forget. Like, I don't watch those videos all the time. Like, I like to throw it all, because sometimes there's a lot, and it's almost like, when you take a poop, when you take a shit, take a poop, yeah, when you go for a shit or when you poop, like you just put it all there and then you flush it. I'm not saying you guys are watching me taking a shit here. It's a good shit though, because I'm throwing you some gifts, some nuggets. Not shit nuggets, but some quite powerful shit. Some powerful beings of light that can help expediting your journey. Like, you want to be in Godspeed. You want to eliminate what no longer serves. You want to manifest your desires as much as you can, so you're not driven only by your desires, because above your desires there's a deeper reality where you can create much bigger things. But when until you are still relying on being in earth, you can't quite advance to that quantum leap or go to that place what I'm talking about, where much bigger stuff can be manifested to you, things that you have never thought of it before, like me showing up on a video to 1 million people, and I was suddenly being popular on the internet because of me showing up on that video that I just got paid like $20 to just like smile and laugh of the jokes that they were throwing on the classroom on a Zoom class. That's a freaking miracle to me. Of course, I don't know what to do with all these fans. Like, I reply back to them with cute things, but obviously, if I don't have the right skill and management to do the next thing, then I get stuck, right? So maybe right now I need to manifest a manager, like someone who is extremely entrepreneurial and passionate about what I do. Without passion and motivation, I can't go any further. And that passion can be transferred a little bit, but it needs to, like, I need someone who has that spark of like, I like her story. I like her sharings. I believe in the product, social media. Um, I want to innovate. I don't mind taking risks. I have taken many risks in the past, and I want to move forward with her. So if this is the case of maybe you and a manager right now was watching this video, I would love to talk to you. And I was not planning on making this promotional, and it's really not promotional because I never do promotions on my videos, but my email is below this video, all my contact information. So I'm welcoming business partners, investors, people on this space who are truly serious about helping me manifest this big vision, because this person is also manifesting its big vision of like raising the consciousness of the world together, or turning something small into something big. Like everybody has different purposes, different desires, different motives, and I feel like it's just like a little bit of each, right? That sort of like makes this person who I'm dreaming of for so long. But I'm ready for you. And man, sun got pretty heat up here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Much love and light. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share this with your family, with your friends, and stay tuned. I'll see you on my next video.